Good morning, everyone. It's Monday bank holiday. It's Jazz. It's the West Ham Irons channel. It's the final word show. The final word. The day after. Call it what you want. We've obviously had a night to sleep on. Another nightmare. That's kind of becoming quite normal. And to be honest, I'm feeling like most West Ham fans. I've lost my passion for West Ham games due to David Moyes a while ago. So 5-0, 10-0, 15-0, the feeling's same. I'm not as passionate as I used to be. Not really surprised. Even if we score, I don't jump up and down anymore. It kind of went a long time ago. Just got fed up with the whole situation. And looking at the fans, the comments, the different channels, the different media outlets, I think the fans are all-time low. There's many people, even in our shows, in the chat, just saying, followed West Ham for so many years and decades and never felt this low ever before. Some people have been season ticket holders for decades and they don't want to go anymore. It's just all-time low feeling for everyone really. And it's so many things we know about, we can take on board to discuss. Many of these things already spoken about really, but for me, like I said, it's got so bad. It's not even about really David Moyes really anymore. I mean, are we surprised about anything what happened yesterday, how he set up, how he's managed everything? I mean, there's not much that we can say that you haven't heard before, but I think in this show, I do want to summarise everything, how we've come to this stage, this point really. And it's not even about carving open the game yesterday and talking about each of the goals, who marked who, what happened for the third goal, could have done something better. That's gone out the window. Forget looking and dissecting the game, looking at the goals, who's at fault. It's way above that. And I mean, let's start from the beginning. Like I said, David Moyes came in 4 years ago. The right appointment. I was the only one in all the channels said he's the right one. Other one was Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe didn't have much experience. He's very young. Don't think he quite had the mental strength to kind of deal with the West Ham situation at that time. We were 3-4. We were 5th, 6th from bottom, shipping a lot of goals. Moisey came in around Christmas time, I think, and we survived. He kind of did a few things in formations. And it kind of worked. I think Arnie started to play more and more up front, and he made us a bit stronger, a bit more solid. And the managers and the players were happy to see an experienced manager who's good at coaching. He hired good coaches at around that time. Pearson, Evan, Irvine, all those guys came. That really helped everyone. And it was kind of a good end to the season. We kind of stayed up, and then we bought one or two more players. I think Bowen came in, didn't he, fairly quickly after Moyes came in. Then we bought Souček. I think that was in the same window. Kofal followed, didn't he? And then, we got rid of one or two others that Pellegrini bought. That didn't quite work out for us. Wiltshire, Sanchez, Filippo Anderson, and all those ones. So he did well. He did well, really, at that time, really. I think it was in lockdown when we did really well. Mixing the formation. Sometimes we would play 3 centre-backs with Creswell, one of the centre-backs, and Kufal as a wing-back, that kind of thing. And it worked. We kind of counter-attacked with pace, with tenacity, excitement. It was good football. We were zipping it around quite fast, and people like Souček and Bowen really helped out. Antonio was still kind of doing all right at that time, things like that. And it was good. Lockdown was good. We kind of were a surprise to the league, surprise to our own fans. And obviously Lingard came in that winter window. That really propelled us, added another 10, 15 points to our total. Declan Rice was kind of establishing himself as a really good Premier League player and a mainstay in our team, really. So, but then the thing with me is, it doesn't matter how well we're doing, I'm always striving for more and more. I'm really ambitious. I'm always nitpicking at things. So if we have a transfer window, and some of you think, we've done all right, we bought 2-3 good players, I'm always looking at the 2-3 that shit. So I'm really nitpicking, and I don't really talk about other clubs. Someone interestingly said yesterday that the average percentage that's successful in terms of transfers across the Premiership's about 50%. I mean, that could be true. That could be true, but our problem's been not buying a striker. If buying a striker, they've usually been our most expensive main signing of the windows, and that's been the flop. So the issue for us has been that the main signings for us, certainly in the attacking field, in all the windows David Moyes has been in, have largely been flops. So that's what the issue with me is. If a fullback we sign 5-10 million doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It goes under the radar a little bit, right? But if you buy a Haller, you buy a Skamaka, and it goes downhill quickly. Velasic wasn't cheap. Agerd wasn't cheap. People like that. It highlights, because, yeah, we don't have as much money as some of the big boys, and we can't afford to have our main signing of the window not working out at all, really. And mainly that's been, yeah, we haven't done a good scouting on the guy. We've saw the players, that good player playing in a certain formation. When they've come to us, we try to play them in a different way, and it hasn't worked. I'm not saying some players can't change formations. Of course they can, but you got to do your due diligence. And then it's been a mixture of who signed who players. Is that a Sullivan signing? Is that a Moyes signing? It's been a bit of a shit show, really, to be fair. And usually the theme has been in transfer windows, it's been a pain for David Moyes to ever sign anyone. We rarely sign a player in the first 15% time of the window. We always buy at the end. Never hardly get our number one, number two targets. We spend far too much negotiating, and then with a week or few days to go, that's when the bulk of our signings come through, which means those signings weren't really on the list at the beginning of the window, and then we've just looked at who's available, and that's a risk. That's a risk, right? Usually you should sign your number one, number two targets at the beginning of the window, and if they cost 1 or 2 million more, then so be it. But you've helped the manager, you've got their main targets in, and then you've obviously got all the time, fit them into training, get them set in a pre-season, because what's happened in every window nearly is either David Moyes hasn't signed anyone, just flippantly ignored it, and then Sullivan has forced a couple of players down his throat at the last few days, and Moyes has ignored those signings, and the fans have seen the shit show after that. Or they've been bought so late. We've often seen pre-season is a joke. So often our pre-season, our fitness starts when the Premier League starts. So in the first game, we're not prepared. In the first 5-6 games of usually a season, in David Moyes' West Ham teams, we're not usually at it, because the players have come in so late in the window. They've not hardly got any training. I mean, players like Kudus, don't forget, Kudus was hardly played in the first 5, 6, 7 weeks. Didn't even look at him. He came fully fit, great season at Ajax. Moyes wouldn't even look at him. Very, very slow. But Calvin Phillips comes in, his own baby, shit show, but let's play him every game. Let's play him from the beginning, even though he mentally wasn't probably fit anyway. So it's like if it's a Sullivan signing, if it's a Tim Stuyton signing, Moyes doesn't want to play them. If it's his own signing, then he plays them. It's like, you can't run a club like that. You cannot run a club like that, and it's been a joke, really. I mean, let me show you one thing. I'm going to show you this league table. Hopefully you can see it. So this is the lockdown season, and you can see we finished 6th, right? Look, Champions League spot, we missed out by 2 points. Largely due to that transfer winter window where Lingard came in all good, but he refused to buy at least one more player to cover Declan Rice. Declan Rice gets injured. We lose a number of points in a number of crucial games. Again in that March, April, May period where under Moyes we lose a lot of points. And it might look good to you. We're in Europe, brilliant. But for me, it's the frustration of we could have and should have got that Champions League spot, right? It's just things like this. You go into the following season, we finished 7th in Europa by 4 clear points, right? So that's not bad. We got sort of Europa football, but again, at the end of the season, we did kind of lose a lot of form again, and it's not been that great end. And if we go towards last season, have a look at that. We're 14th, 6 points clear of the team that got relegated. That's a shit show and a half. Absolutely shit show and a half, that is. You go and look at it right now. We're in 9th spot. 2 games to go. 9th spot, everyone. And look how much money last 3-4 windows the board have given him. and a lot of it has gone down to waste. You know, all right, Kudos is all right, Alvarez is all right, Paqueta's all right, but equally you've got a Gerd flop, you've got Cornet's hardly been used, Danny Ings flop, you've got Mavropanos that's largely 50-50. It is a bit of a shit show. Antonio's still there, Craswell's still playing, trying to give him a new contract, trying to give Oggy a new contract. It's not being good, right? So for me, yes, we won the Europa Conference, but for me, I will think of David Moyes as the manager in history that once again, when we were on so close to so many great things, Champions League qualification, signing more players in the windows, using the money in a better way, and comfortably finishing in a minimum Europa place year on year out, we just faltered. We're not going to get European football through the league this season. Luckily, we won the conference to get into the Europa, and then obviously, like I said, so for me, it's kind of we've kind of missed a chance. Declan Rice came along. Players like that don't come along that often, and we failed to really, really build around that. I felt going forward, and you look at it kind of now. Lopetegui, like I said, I broke the news last night that he's more or less going to be our new manager. It's better than Moyes, but not a lot better than Moyes. He's not like Moyes, but he's not far away from Moyes, is my summary. He ain't David Moyes, don't get me wrong. He's not low block, don't get me wrong. But it's not the Ruben Amorim, Fonseca, West Ham way football that we are hoping for. So he's a cheap alternative. That's the main thing for having him here. It's going to be keep ball, tippy-tappy football, very slow pace, largely in their own half, patiently waiting for some chances in space to go further up the field, and it's going to be not many goals scored, not many conceded, very flooded and packed centre mid, overlapping fullbacks, in wingers that sit with an inset rather than outset next to the striker. So it's a bit better than Moyes. It's not a lot better than Moyes, so it's up to you. For me, I wanted to go for the other two. The only thing I can say that the deal's been agreed with Lopetegui. Final bits have been done. It's just a matter of signing the contract. The only thing that I can think of how someone else could come in would be if there was a huge fan outlash at the Luton game. If some fans ran on the pitch, started going bonkers, that might sway something. But Noble and obviously Stuyton want Ruben Amorim. He's the best. You should always go for the best. Don't worry about the 10, 11 million. He's the best. That's what the fans want. He's gone for the cheap option, easy option. 57 years old. I think we could do a lot better than that. We'll see what happens, but that's the way it's kind of looking, really. But now the focus is on the board. They should have got rid of him last summer. They should have got rid of him this November at least. But they've not listened to anyone. And now it's just the players have down tools. They've had enough. They're not interested. And then you got the David Moyes press conferences, which getting worse and worse. He's digging them out. He's having a go at them. Mental toughness. How much mental toughness can they have? You're playing with a squad of 12 since January. A lot of them are still injured. Digging them into the ground. There's no rotation. There's nothing. There's no subs hardly of any worthy of note mentioning. Players are humans. It's a long season. You've seen teams like Spurs, they're struggling as well. January window is so important. Managers like David Moyes need to stop making excuses and really, really appreciate that the two transfer windows is a fact of modern football, whether you like. I don't like it, but it's a fact. And for me, you can't just dismiss the January window. You've got to make it count. You've got to use the loan market more. You've got to use your youth players more. You've got to have two players in every position. You've got to rotate. You've got to freshen it up. You've got to take people off after 60, 65 minutes. You've got to do all of that. He's done none of that. One formation. Same formation for every game. And you've got to a situation now where, players can't be bothered anymore, and he's digging them out, bringing Declan Rice's name in a press conference. That's a disgrace. Leadership, Zuma's captain. He's not captain material. He's not captain material. We've lacked leaders for a while at the club. I've mentioned that in so many videos going back 2 years. And at the same time, I am a realist, and I am saying that not many of them are around. But it's not my job. It's Tim Stuyton's job to look for the leaders. Go out there, and there's leaders out there. Right, it's not my job to look for them. It's your job to kind of get those people out. I mean, you look at people like Granit Xhaka, we all fucking hate him, but he's a leader. There's a few more players like that out there that you got to look for, you know. It's not for my job, and we don't have a leader, we don't have a captain. He's not vocal enough. He's just a really nice guy, he's always laughing and joking. You know, he's not an Alvin Martin or one of those that we've had in the past. Really, you look at the back four yesterday, I mean, that says it all. The manager's been here 4 years, and that's our back four. And I mean, how much more can Oggie's finished, mate? Zuma's finished. He's got such an old back four. Still Antonia's up front by himself. Cresswell, I think, played in the game before. Come on, mate. Come on. Give me a break. David Moyes, give me a break, mate. He was so stubborn. He just ran this squad into the ground, and we could have done a lot more. We could have done a lot more, and it didn't happen. And I don't know what the summer window's going to bring. I don't know if Paqueta's going to be here or not. We'll see what happens. If Lopetegui comes in, like I said, it's a 4-3-3 system. Paqueta can play in those three. Alvarez might struggle because all those three in the midfield need to be ball playing, ball retaining, technically gifted players like Modric, Moutinho, Neves, those types. So we don't have many of them. Souček doesn't fit in there. Ward-Prowse will do a little bit of a job in there. Not very good at winning the ball back, but you can certainly keep it, pass it, technically good. Alvarez will struggle in the middle. He ain't as gifted as all those players I've mentioned. He might even have to go back as centre-back. I don't know yet. We'll have to change the fullbacks in any manager that comes in. In all the managers I've mentioned, they use fullbacks as wing-backs. They're pivotal in terms of changing formations. Those are where most of your money should go, is on your fullbacks. Obviously, we need a striker, and then hopefully Kudus and Bono stay. But yeah, we need to freshen up the back four. We need to look at the midfield. And an ideal window, if a manager manages the windows and the club in a good way, all a good club needs in a window is maximum 2-3 players. Maximum. But due to the manager and the Sullivan sort of intervening all the time, sticking his finger in, last 4 windows have been a joke, because we've had 6-7 players whose contracts have ended. They've gone, and we shouldn't wait that long. If you've got 1 year left in your contract in that window, like last summer, Cresswell, he should have been allowed to leave, because we've hardly used him this year. He should have gone last summer. I think Wolves wanted him. Lazy decision, because we didn't want to replace him. It's the cheaper option, the easier option to just keep Oggy on the books, keep Cresswell on the books, keep Antonio giving him 1 year after the other. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. You don't want to pay 10 million for Ruben Amorim, but how many millions is that Calvin Phillips going to cost us? How many millions did we lose over the Vlasic deal, the Filippo Anderson deal? Haller, we lost money on that deal. Scamacca, we lost a bit of money on that deal. Agerd, are we going to get 33 million back for him? If Ruben Amorim or Fonseca come in, there could be a saviour for Agerd, because he's a ball playing, comfortably bring the ball out centre half. I don't know under Lopetegui's tactics if there's anything for him, because there's rumours that Agerd's fallen out with the manager since December. He's not wanting to play. Things like that. Listen, I'm not that happy with his performances anyway, don't get me wrong, but something else is going on. And the problem with Moyes is when a player's got an issue, Moyes can't sort it out. If a player's not getting a game, you don't want to talk to them. Look at Cornet being treated badly. All these players that been on the fringes of the first team, they're treated like really badly on a human level. If they're out of form, he just keeps on playing them. You remember 2 years ago, Souček was terrible. He played him in every single game when you could tell the guy needs to be pulled out for a few games. He just keeps playing injured players, keeps playing out of form players, doesn't look after the squad, doesn't look after value or respect the youth either. Very stubborn man, and that's why I've been astonished how he hasn't lost the dressing room. I'm astonished how the players deliberately haven't gone on that 3-4-5 game sort of losing run earlier in the season or last season and got him out. Because in that Christmas period last year, they just had to lose one more game and they fucking won it, didn't they? And then he kept his job. So I've been really astonished how they want to play for him. As a footballer, I would never want to play for David Moyes. I would never want to play in those tactics, those... You know, it's not football. It's not sport. I don't know what the hell it is. It's a joke. And the situation we're in now, I think we're always going. Doesn't matter what manager comes in, as long as Sullivan is the owner, it's never going to be 100%. He's always going to buy his own players. He's always going to lose a few players the managers wanted because he doesn't want to pay the price. And then at the end, he'll offer his own players at his favourite agents. Lopetegui's been thrust upon Sullivan because of his agents. Lopetegui's got one or two agents that have been, very, very visible, very, very, forceful in pushing him into Sullivan's radar. It's that kind of thing, really. So the last word for me is just, I'll remember David Moyes. He missed out on the chances in the windows to do so many things so much better. Change the formations, refused stubbornly to bring a striker in to replace Antonio, freshen it up, have a young squad. We ended up with the second oldest team in the league, ran the players into the ground. That is my remaining thoughts. Not about winning the conference. It's all about how much more we could have done with all the money he had. He's been given more money than any other manager at West Ham under Sullivan, more backing than anyone else. And if only he kept the coaches happy, understood the West Ham culture, the tradition, respected the fans, try to play the West Ham way instead of just off the cuff, there's no West Ham way. I mean, he'll go in the summer and he'll be on that Tippy Tappy YouTube channel with Sam Allardyce next September, October, laughing at the West Ham fans, saying, taking the piss out of us. What more do they want, you know? And it's just a... And then he keeps going on about, oh yeah, we've last 3 years we got through to the latter stages of the European tournaments. They have, but in my view, the first Europa season when we lost in the semi-finals, why did we lose in the semi-finals? Because of Creswell. Creswell shouldn't, even back then 2 years ago, Creswell should never have been part of our first team, but he refused to sell him. And like I kept telling you guys, in the business end of the season, when you need a good bench, Creswell comes on, slow as anything, gets sent off a couple of times, and we lose it. And he'll say, no. He's the only manager that is happy when it's a draw. Spurs 1-1. Postecoglou goes, I'm disappointed, I wanted to win. Moyes, great, loved the point. Liverpool, I loved the point. Klopp, hated the point. He loves draws, and he loves situations where I would say Creswell should never have been part of that Europa team. Due to him, we lost the semi-finals. And he'll say, wasn't that great we reached the semi-final? It's a different mindset. He's not a winner, and that's another problem. We won the conference by hook or crook. We weren't the best team in the final, but we won it. We've not been the best team in a lot of the games we won in the league. And I don't know how we won some of the games with 10% possession. The Brighton game, I don't understand what's happened, right? So very few games we dominate, play really, really well. We win sometimes, counter-attacks, the odd goal. I don't know how we do it, right? And then this season, by Leverkusen, first leg is set up to lose. Up to 80 minute, it's still 0-0. He brings on more defenders instead of changing it and trying to really see if you can get a goal or not, right? And then he sets up the right way, being reactive, not proactive, because he knows the fans are going to kill him. And we matched them. I've never seen Bayer Leverkusen running around crying. They took their player off after 20 minutes. If only you did this at the beginning, my man, we would have beaten Leverkusen under a more positive, attacking-minded manager. So all these, but for him again, it's no. We reached the quarterfinal. We did brilliant, didn't we? No, we missed a chance. We could have matched them even more. I don't mind losing, as long as you know you're giving 100%, and you have not given 100%. If you look at that first leg, one shot on goal, one corner, that's not football, mate. For me, it's the missed chances under David Moyes, and now it's the board. The board have not let it go to this situation where they should have just clarified this a long time ago. And again, it's going to be reactive, and let's see what this week brings, whether they'll confirm Moyes is leaving, so they'll have some kind of thing for him going on in the final game. I'm not going to go. And Lopetegui's mentioned, I don't know, or kind of they kind of tell everyone that he's the manager. Or, I don't know, this cannot carry on. It's going to get even worse. This is going to get worse if they don't say nothing. They've got to say something at some point. And the board have largely got to be blamed for this, really. They should have known a year ago that's enough of David Moyes. He's helped us, he's stabilised us, but it's time for us to push us in the right direction. And then we would have had 2 free windows with a new manager. You could have used the Declan Rice money, and we didn't have to buy Calvin Phillips. Ward-Prowse, I think we should have bought someone else. And I don't think Ruben Amorim or Fonseca would have bought Ward-Prowse. They would have gone for a technically more better player, and they got better knowledge of the markets in Central Europe, especially Portugal, which is huge. That's where both of those guys are from. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just regrets. Could have done a lot more. And obviously Newcastle, it is a weak league as well. Look at the league, it's weak. No one's wanted that European spot. We were 6 points clear in 6th place in December, and we've thrown it all away. It's been a shit Chelsea team. It's been a shit Newcastle team. It's been an up and down Newcastle team. We've lost 10, 11 players. It was a great, great chance for us to easily get into Europa at least and carry on 4 years in Europe, establish ourselves in Europe, you know. And it's easy, slightly easier signing players as well. And in all those windows we've been in Europe, I don't think we've capitalised as much as we could have. Now you're going into the transfer market against teams who are in Europe, you're not. Fuck that, that's going to make your job even harder for the new manager, right? So yeah, it's just regrets. It's just West Ham's history. Every time we're close to achieving something, building a base for 2, 3, 4 really good years, see how we do, we just seem to mess up. Either we got the wrong manager or we got the wrong board. It's just that kind of thing, and it's been that kind of mix really. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And like I said, yeah, I'll jump on the show if anything, any notable breaking news comes out of our club. Yeah, it's getting interesting. It's getting close. The board have got to move. Surely the board have got to move. Really. We'll see what happens. But anyway, you guys, thank you for sharing, subscribing. Got really, really good views last couple of shows and weeks. So yeah, keep in touch, and I'll do shows as soon as something's breaking. Take care. Have a good bank holiday as well. Don't try to think about West Ham either. Chill out.